All right, this is just going to be a drawing session. There won't be any music. There won't be any interruptions. No, this Q-tip isn't filled with dirty earwax. I was using it for painting. Well, yeah, paint. So mainly, this is going to be me just kind of coming up with some concept sketches for some artwork for the tabletop game. I say tabletop, but there's no table involved. Miniature-based game, we'll say that, even though technically they're not even miniatures. But I'll go into that later. So what this is just coming up with some designs for the narration of the backstory and some of the individual races you can play in the game, creatures, and try to come up with a style. I guess what I'm going to be aiming for is something along the lines of somewhere between kind of cartoony, somewhere between realistic and Funko Pop, if that makes any sense. But yeah, the whole point of the game is to kind of keep it open to and available to anyone who wants to play it. Whether you're a highly skilled modeler or just someone who's starting out, painting miniatures. I want to do something kind of simple that's easy to paint, but maybe would provide a challenge for someone who's very skilled to make into something interesting. So I guess I'll just get started and we'll go from there. So I guess while I'm sketching, I'll just give some of the backstory on this. What this game is essentially about is, or the premise of it is, that normally on a tabletop game, you have your field of play, and it's in 2 dimensions, and you might have little buildings, terrain features, and you set up your armies in whatever scale they are on either side of the table. And then you roll to see who goes first and proceed to follow whatever instructions or rules are provided for those armies to combat with each other and move. End of story. What I am proposing is we just get rid of all that, and instead of a 32 millimeter miniature or a 1/72nd scale or 15 mil or whatever it is you like to play in, you play in a 1-to-1 scale. 1-to-1 equals life size. So what I mean by that is, if you have a miniature or figure or character that is as tall as this little guy, he's not representative of something larger, or she. This figure is that size. So whatever size this guy is, I'm going to go out on a limb and say he's about roughly 4 inches tall. Maybe 3.5, something like that. So that means your figure is this tall. So if you are playing, you're not playing on a board, you're using this as your board, or your kitchen table, or your kitchen counter, or your living room sofa, or the carpet, or your garage, or wherever you happen to want to play. And I've been kind of wanting to do this for a long time, but with the pandemic and people not really being able to make it out to games and staying home a lot, it sort of made sense. So now you've got a miniature, we'll say let's say this is your figure, then all of this is terrain. And if you want to engage with another character, like say this one, he has to jump down, move however many inches to attack this guy, and then he can attack you and run away or hide behind that cup. Yeah, so that's kind of the whole point is you don't need a table, you don't need a fancy terrain, you don't need a space to play this. You just need a few figures. I want to make this game so that you can play with as few as 1 or as many as 10. It's going to be skirmish based. You'll have the ability to climb surfaces, like use magnets to climb the sides of refrigerators, or use grappling hooks to climb up to counters. Maybe swim if you have to, fly if that's a skill, and then move your figures, all over your home to attack your opponent. So that's it. That's basically it. The creatures I'm looking at are going to be elves, though I've kind of named them a little bit differently. You're going to have goblins. You're going to have Spriggan. And Spriggan are kind of like, plant people. Your typical, not a tree ant, but let's say if you're an elf, but you're made out of plant material. We'll call them that. Then you're going to have Gremmel, which were originally gremlins until I found out Warner Brothers will sue the hell out of you if you try to use the word gremlin. So I was like, hey, Gremmel, that's what I'm going with. I'm not going to risk a $200 million lawsuit for a name. That's idiotic. So those are some characters you can play. The other ones I think we're going to be, I forget what I called them. Like, I think they were Borger or Barger. We'll call them Barger. That sounds good. And what these guys basically are, and these aren't, by the way, the Gremmel or gremlins. We won't say that word ever again. These aren't your typical creatures that you would acknowledge as those types of monsters. They're not the ones that you would associate with. And I'll go into what these actually are, each of these things as I start to draw them. These guys are basically like hyper intelligent hamsters with enormous canines that can use magic. Yeah. But I guess they would count as sort of if you were talking about a typical fantasy setting, they would be your barbarians. Yeah, or something to that effect, the more primitive ones, or maybe even your orcs, I don't know. And then I was thinking about doing trolls, but I'm not sure. And there's a reason why these guys are all so tiny. I'm not just saying these are, fairies. We'll call them fae. Fairies were the other ones, that's right. And I think there was like a gecko race. That's a lot. That's a lot already. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. That's quite a few races you have to choose from. Quite a few. So that's a lot of drawing I'm probably going to have to be doing here soon. So your typical elf is going to look like your typical elf. Pointy ears. Right? But we'll go with sort of a... yeah, let's just start with that. So let's start with what an elf would look like. What would an elf look like at that scale? And if we're talking about kind of a cartoony scale, maybe a Legend of Zelda style, kind of cute, not super cute. That's going to be kind of the trick, is kind of coming up with something that's easy to represent and maybe is easy to sculpt. So let's say with these we could do the ears kind of a little bit exaggerated. Looks more like a goblin to me, but you know, maybe that'll end up being a goblin. I don't know. Seems like if he was an elf, he'd be a little more angular, right? And we'll give him kind of a Vulcan looking hairdo. This is all new to me too, so. And then let's say for goblins, I think I do a little bit wider. Sort of almost apple-shaped head with triangular ears. Not doing the big nose goblins. We're gonna probably keep these kind of go back to that elf. I'm not really crazy about it either. I know you're probably not. So this will be our goblin race. Give him a little earring just to be funny. Then Spriggan, I'd probably say a Spriggan's more or less like an elf with sort of tree-like or plant-like features. Maybe just a hint of a nose, big eyes. And no ears. I just give them little twigs where the ears are. Or you know what? Maybe some leaf kind of feature where ears would be. And then the hair would be kind of like leaf-like also. You know, just a little top off of some leaves and twigs. And they would be kind of maybe woodish looking. In their appearance. So there you go there. And Gremmel. All right, so these, let's say, so the idea behind these is if you think of something along the lines of a Luddite, they hate technology in almost a religious kind of fanatical way. To the point where they will throw themselves into the machinery in order to destroy it or stop it. So as a result, there really aren't a lot of Gremmel that look, let's say, fully formed. So most of them, I think, would probably look something like almost like a goblin, was sort of like but with big wide heads. Maybe that's not how I want it. Let's see. And they're just a really, really angry group of individuals. We'll give them some horns. Broken one. And let's maybe even give them some horns over here too. Small ears. And I think that they would probably be something along the lines of missing a limb, stitched up really shoddily. One good arm. And kind of hunched over and just angry all the time. some kind of tail. Or not, I don't know. I would imagine the first thing to go would be a tail if you'd like to throw yourself into things. The other thing about these guys is I want them to be kind of like really creepy and weird. Let's say he's got one good eye, and we'll say they replace a lot of their body parts with machinery and technology that they find. Their blood is like acid. And they're like living batteries. So they conduct electricity. Which means if they go up to a piece of electronics, they can fry it, cut themselves in order to melt through cables or steel to get into things. Maybe we'll give them some big teeth that can chop through stuff. Like a rat. Yeah, that's kind of creepy looking, yeah. One big white eye, like it just got... He's just crazed. Maybe we'll lose those sharp, spiny horns and go with some short, spiky horns. There you go. Okay, so something like that. Scars. Scars everywhere. All right, and then let's see, these guys. So these guys would be something like big hamsters. So it's been a while since I drew a hamster. So let's go with some big hairy thing that looks like this. If I recall, hamsters are very portly. These guys have like a, I would say this would be more like a hamster on steroids. So you know, cute little nose, and then like some really big tusks. And then like their ears be up here somewhere. Maybe he's got an acorn or something in his hand. And I wanted to do something where like the elders or the shaman of these this hamster race has really enormous teeth that just keep growing and growing as they get older. But as they get older, they carve like, let's say, like ancient runes into the teeth as they grow, which they can use as a means of storing magic. Trolls. Let's see. Trolls. I think I will give them the big nose treatment. Let's do a troll over here. Troll, I think we could say would be kind of like we'll say kind of hairy. Bushy eyebrows. So just about the only place they don't have hair is on their nose. Maybe not make their whole body hairy. Well, maybe a little bit. Let's just say like their chest would be hairy, their backs, their arms. Not quite so big a nose, I don't know. And keep it kind of. And trolls can turn to stone. Or turn other things into stone. Something. I don't know. We'll figure it out. Last ones are the Fae, which those just look super cute, of course, because they're fairies. Let's do something like, kind of like this little wispy thing here, like a little flame. Get my cute little nose. That's not cute. That's kind of scary. Well, we'll work on that one a little bit more. How about a little almond-shaped face? Big eyes. There we go. Maybe something like that. Pointy ears. Kind of like that little flame look for that hair. Something like that. Be kind of cute. All right. And then the little gecko folks. I wouldn't say gecko, maybe frog-like, amphibian-like. Put the eyes up here. All right, special abilities. So this one would be electrical. And acid blood. This one can store magic and extra food and supplies, and it's fat mouth, right? Huge canines, and they're not just for show. You can bite people with them too. Oh, this guy, somewhat, I wouldn't say, let's try to stay away from the SUICIDE word, but yeah, they're willing to do anything to get the job done for these Gremmels. Gecko, or frog people, or whatever we want to call them. Let's say this one, we'll say poison skin. Well, poison skin. We'll say chameleon-like, let's say can hide or blend in with surroundings. It's a nice little natural talent to have. put here, good swimmer. This one controls plants. Goblins. Woo. We'll call these guys. Let's see. These guys will have high skill. Elves will have high skill and intelligence. Goblins, devious, intelligent. Trickster. Very obvious one would be can fly. Can blind. Temporarily. Troll. Can, let's not say they can turn you into stone. Can temporarily freeze a person like stone. Freeze enemy. Temporary freeze enemy. Okay. We'll put here trolls are resistant. Resist cold and fire. Trolls are real tough, so can self-heal. Let's see, these little guys. How about here, super high initiative? We'll say that. Spriggan should have better stuff than just controlling plants. We'll figure it out. Elves too. Oh. High magic skill. High weapon skill. I guess elves kind of fall into that category too. I would say the goblins and the elves are probably pretty close to each other. I'll have to figure out a way to make these sort of... Let's work on this look a little bit. It's kind of... I'm liking this. Not so much this. This is okay. Okay. Sort of. I do like this little guy, and this one needs work. And the fairy, okay. But, I don't know. Next page. Let's refine the goblin look a little bit. I like where that's headed, though. Like where that's headed. So, why is everybody so small? Why is everybody so tiny? Why aren't elves 6 feet tall and goblins 5 feet tall, or however tall you imagine them to be, or trolls, or anybody really, right? So the whole point of the game is within the world of this game, which would be our current timeline, right? Our history. Magical creatures existed. Magical creatures roamed the earth. They came to encounter human beings. Of course, fighting soon followed. Human beings didn't like magic creatures too much, especially those pesky things like dragons and basilisks and monsters that would eat and steal their cattle or kids. So humans killed most of the monsters that they couldn't relate to. Most of the creatures, like let's say dwarves or halflings or even some of the elves, eventually just integrated in with the humans and just became humans. They just kind of bred themselves out of existence. The ones that were left over, which are the ones that I've got here, and maybe some other monsters I might introduce into the game, at some point something happened, and there was an indication that there just wasn't enough magic to go around in the world. And since all of these creatures are essentially based in magic, if you don't have enough of what's going around that makes you who you are, you're going to tend to disappear after a while. So the elves come up with a plan to put everybody to sleep, ration the magic, and they figured that the world just needed some time to regenerate itself, right? For all of the magic to sort of replenish its supply. And that's probably going to take way more time than they've got. And they're using up way too much magic as it is. Between the humans trying to kill them or breed them out of existence, and there just not being enough magic to go around, and the supply dwindling day after day, year after year, eventually they're going to die out. So the elves think, hey, here's what we're going to do. We're going to make this big spell. We're going to let everybody in the world know that uses magic, that we're going to make this big spell, put everybody to sleep. No one will be able to detect us. We'll be indestructible while we're sleeping. And we'll wake up in a couple of thousand years. And when we wake up, everything will be fine and dandy. The magic will have been restored. Maybe the humans will have destroyed each other. All right, so, yeah, let's figure out this thing. So what do we got here? Let's work on those elves. I'm not really liking the way those are looking at all. I did see Funko Pop, so maybe we should make it more simple. How do you make something that's... So maybe very triangular face, very long triangular face with kind of a long round. Okay, kind of liking that. So just a hint of a nose, maybe just a hint of a mouth. Get my whale's peak. Let's make him real angular, even though hair is kind of angular. just a little bit. Straighter. Maybe not so curved. I think I'm liking a sort of up and down look for these guys. Just make them look very, and then their eyebrows. Give him some big pointy ears. All right, I'll do for now on them. Goblin. Kind of the opposite, right? Wide face. Or a little more fun-loving, maybe. Big eyes. Looks a bit like a cat. I don't know if that's what I really want to go for, though. Maybe more. This shape. This cat eyes and more big foreheads. I'll give them some hair too, why not? What does goblin hair look like? Do goblins need hair? Who's seen a goblin with hair? I think I've seen them with like lamb chop sideburns before, I want to say. Let's say they don't really have a need for hair. We'll look at hair later. I think probably that's pretty good. Get rid of that. All right, maybe not so much on the taste buds. I think that's good enough to get the who's left? Two more. We got elves, we got goblins, we got fae, we got trolls, we got spriggan, we got Gleck. Oh, yeah, the two other crazy ones. So, the hamsters, the great big teeth. Let's do... We'll keep them simple. Big giant round faces. Big fat round heads. Think of it like a saber-toothed hamster. Sort of. Only smart. Looks like a baby seal, right? So, probably something to add to this. The last three didn't exist when these other five did. These are three that sort of popped up. Maybe the Gremel. I haven't decided on that one yet, but these two for sure popped up as just over time a result, as sort of a side effect almost of some of the magic that was used to create that giant spell that shrank everything. Because, and maybe I didn't cover this in the I got kind of cut off, but the reason these guys are all small to begin with and not their normal size like we would think they would be in all the other fantasy genres is they had to shrink. They had to reduce their size so that they could consume the magic at a slower rate and not use it all up before it had a chance to regenerate. And that wasn't something that was done on purpose by those races. It was something that was done by one elf, not this one. Obviously, this is just some normal, everyday Joe Blow elf. But it happened as a result of one elf meddling with the big spell that would put them all to sleep and wake them up again. He decided that they would use up less magic if they were all tiny. So when they all woke up, yeah, I mean, other than the fairies, who were kind of small to begin with, not maybe as small as, everyone else, but yeah, now they're all roughly on the same playing field. The fairies are suddenly as tall as goblins or elves or even trolls. Everybody's kind of the same size now. So they're all having to adjust to. So maybe in a way, the fairies have an advantage there. They've been accustomed to that for centuries or millennia, to being that small, diminutive scale. So maybe they've got kind of an upper hand there. Maybe I should incorporate that into the game. They have always known what it is to be little or tiny, or at least smaller than everybody else. I don't know why the troll reminds me of Ringo Starr for some reason. I'll come up with a better name. I don't know. Maybe somebody can come up with a name for this this canine hamster race. They're sort of like the like Vikings of or barbarians or something. The Nordic wolves of this sort of thing. We'll come up with something for them. A better name. Bjorn is a bear. What's a small bear? Don't know. We'll call them Bjorks. No. We'll leave their name up. I don't know about Gleck. Kind of matches the thing, so maybe we'll keep that one. Then these guys, last but not least, I'll draw what they should look like before they get battle damage, so to speak. And I think most of these are going to be subject to some obvious small changes here and there, but just trying to get the general idea of what I want out of these. Maybe we'll just call them Grem. And we'll call these, keep it short, right? Berser? No. Grizz? Like grizzly bear? What would the scale on these guys be? I would say probably average scale for any one of these is probably, they're all going to be around the same size. Let's say about between 3 to 4 inches on average. So 4 inches would be somewhere in between here. So, and pretty decent sized heads. So legs would be something like this. You know, proportions would be a little different depending on the creature, but I'd say average proportion for any of these guys is going to be somewhere around here. Here to here. Anything in that range is probably acceptable. Yeah, I think I'm good for now on where we're at. Help me come up with a name for these guys. Think Nordic, barbarian, space wolves, hamsters. They do the whole rune magic thing. They do the whole thing with the carving in their tusks, and maybe they're even cannibals, I don't know. We'll come up with something. I think that's pretty good. So I guess just to kind of tie up this little drawing session, let's look at got 8 different races, got the height, more or less their skill set, their look. Yeah, I think we're good here. Yeah. And again, this isn't super set in stone, but I think anybody who wanted to play this game, I'm going to make some miniatures, obviously. Maybe I should even take this on a Kickstarter. I don't know. Get a 3D printer and just mass produce a bunch of little miniatures for people to buy. I'm not in any way going to do this as a full-time job unless I've got some way to pay my rent. So, but you know, I wanted to make the game and the rule set pretty simple. The rule set's actually really easy. Anybody who wants a copy, just email me. My email's in my about section, I think. If not, it's botstobeasts@gmail.com. And I'll send you the rule set. I don't care. You can, copy it, give it to your friends, try it out, see if you like it, see if you want to make some changes to it. Go for it. I don't care. The whole point was to make a game that was fun, that you could play anywhere, literally anywhere, with figures you could probably make yourself at a scale that you could probably do yourself. You want to make a canine hamster by grabbing a G.I. Joe and covering it in fur. I don't care. Do whatever you want. I wanted this to be kind of open to anybody, like I said. So, if you want a fancy figure sculpted by me or someone else, or 3D modeled, or you want to proxy something, proxy away. I'm not Games Workshop. I'm not getting any money out of this. Do whatever you like. You want to use lizard men for these guys, or tree ants for those dudes? Sure. As long as they fit within the scale that I proposed, and you're using the rule set, it'll work. All right, well, I think that's as far as I'm going to take this today. We'll just take another quick look at these. You can see all the little guys I made. And anybody who missed the first part, here's some more quickie sketches, tossing some ideas together. And yeah, I'll send you the backstory too, alongside with the rules, so you can read that. I've already sent it to a couple people who seem fairly positive about it, I guess. So let me know. Talk to you later. Like and subscribe.